Time now for our rants and raves, starting with Dan Kennedy.
I have a rant for Digital First Media. They must be smoking smoochy poochie over there.
I knew that'd come back in play.
There you go. Digital First, as we know, bought the Boston Herald less than a year ago, and they have been assiduously cutting the life out of it since they bought it. And this week, they went on a particularly damaging rampage, eliminating 15 to 20 positions, 2 photographers, including a friend of mine, full disclosure, Mark Garfinkel, who has just been a tremendous photographer for a long time. He's spoken to my students. He used to work with my wife. Copy editing jobs have been outsourced to Denver. It's just yet another sign that Digital First is going to squeeze whatever little revenue is left out of the Herald for as long as they can, and the hell with the public interest.
Yeah,
so what's it going to look like? I mean, I don't understand how it functions with, so it just outsources everything?
They're certainly outsourcing the copy editing, that's for sure. And in terms of pictures, I understand that, you know, they've outfitted the reporters with crayons. And,
okay,
thanks. Lylah.
So I have a rave for the New York Times, not for the big Trump tax piece that came out earlier, but for the letter that they published and gave a platform to, now I think it's over 2,700 law professors who've signed on with their full name, the name of the institution, just to show where they're linked, not that they're speaking for the institution. But it's a great investment in technology, for one thing. It's an interactive graphic that reads like an article but keeps going as you scroll down, and you see all these people who agree that that Judge Kavanaugh should not be confirmed. They've all put their names to it. What I also like is that it's really bringing the public in. It's really giving you a chance to come back over and over and see who else has signed on. And it's an investment in something that maybe it won't make a difference, but it's still for the public good to see what people are thinking and to find a way to interact with that.
And you would throw in a rave for the New York Times investigation of the Trump family finances.
That's good old-fashioned data and document journalism that, again, maybe won't make a difference to a lot of people, but takes a tremendous investment, and they're willing to put in the money when other places like Gatehouse is taking the money out.
That's right.
Okay, very good. Callie.
I'm raving for Jemele Hill, if that's a name that resonates with people. She was ESPN. She is the sports anchor reporter who made the tweet about President Trump being racist and got a lot of pushback from it from her company and elsewhere. She was still working at ESPN when the ESPN and she came to an agreement to write her out of her contract, $5 million. We're told, or $6 million, which she'll be getting over several years. And she's gone out and she's starting a couple of independent things. But the big news is that she's going to be one of the new voices at the Atlantic magazine. People may know that Ta-Nehisi Coates just departed for his own reasons. And so the Atlantic has been trying to figure out, you know, what new voices do they want to bring in. She's very excited about it because she says she can have a comfort level to do what ESPN said they wanted her to do, which was to give her opinion. And there is no mistake that she is an opinion person, by the way. So, yeah.
Thank you. John.
I have a rant. I've got to set this up for a moment before you see the object of my rant. There are many valid ways to moderate a political debate. I'll be moderating the first gubernatorial debate next Tuesday at 8 on Channel 38. Then on the 17th, Wednesday the 17th, Jim and Marjorie will be moderating the second gubernatorial debate here at WGBH. I favor a sort of a traffic cop approach where I just direct traffic, make sure no one talks over each other, and don't really inject myself into it. Jim and Marjorie have a more hands-on approach. They do an excellent job. However, my rant is for Alex Trebek, the beloved host of Jeopardy, who some imbecile decided to bring on as moderator of the Pennsylvania gubernatorial debate. He wound up cracking inappropriate jokes. He was booed by the audience, and he took positions during the debate like a candidate. He talked more than either of the two candidates. It was a debacle. To his credit, he has subsequently apologized. But the the method of moderation matters. Let 1,000 flowers bloom, but let's pour insecticide on the Alex Trebek School of Moderation.
And what was shocking was that after the fact, he said, I didn't realize that I was just supposed to ask a question and then let them hash it out. It's a debate.
He ran it like an edition of Jeopardy
Yes.
if he and the guests had been on the bong for about an hour beforehand.
That would be smoochy poochie to
Smoking
you.
that smoochy poochie, not compatible with the debate.
Oh, no, we're losing control here. Okay, thanks, John. Well, I have a rant for the situation in Puerto Rico. Of course, more than a year after the hurricane there's still a lot of people struggling, but in particular, a lot of journalists. There's still some radio stations and TV stations that are off air, and advertising dollars have just dried up. A lot of companies have been destroyed, and so they don't have the revenue to either bring these stations back on the air, and so they've laid off a lot of good reporters. Unfortunately, they can't find jobs anywhere else. And one particular reporter did a crowdfunding campaign to try to get some money so he could do some entertainment reporting. Others are leaving Puerto Rico to go off to school and find jobs elsewhere. Again, everyone there is suffering, but I think, oftentimes we go in, we cover these stories, and then they disappear from the front pages of our newspapers. They disappear from the newscasts. We have to remember that long after the glare of the cameras, all of that goes away, there's still some people suffering on the ground, and journalists in particular are having a very difficult time in Puerto Rico. So that's my rant is for their situation, and hoping that it can turn into a rave eventually.